just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Inbox will be opened in about 30 minutes or so. Still time to email Gaardsy, JG, at KFAN.com. It's kind of a Talker Tuesday on a Thursday, although we did have an extensive conversation with Sam Mitchell. A lot of good stuff from him that we might review before this show is done, but let's get to top 5 now.
Let's go to Egan TCO Performance Center, where Kevin O'Connell today had some things to say about Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy and their respective quarterback journeys.
It's been fantastic just to see, just the daily growth for a guy that was, obviously with one organization, but really, 2 schemes throughout his time in Arizona. Our scheme's a little, probably different than what he's most comfortable doing from the time on task there, and just the way he's kind of the daily growth, just as simple as comparing day one of calling plays versus today. It's like two totally different guys. His physical talent throwing the ball has been on display, every day. The ability to throw to all 3 levels, layer the ball, anticipation that veteran players bring to the position. And, like I said, all 4 of those guys are at different points in their comfort level in our offense, their comfort level of playing the position in their careers, and all trying to apply those things to what they're doing right now. But I've been really happy with the way both those guys, JJ and Kyler, have kind of attacked it in their own individual kind of ways, knowing that they're competing. Look, it's a competition. These guys are working every day. They know that. But the greater good of the Minnesota Vikings and our team ceiling is the most important thing that's clear to both of those guys.
So the moral of the story is no one should be guaranteed anything, including a starting quarterback position, you say? I could have sworn a year ago we pretty much decided J.J. McCarthy's the guy. He'll be ready to be the guy, and we're going to make him, whether he's ready or not, we're going to make him the guy. How'd that work out? So I'm here to applaud what KOC had to say. I just wish he'd said it a year ago. They'd vowed it a year ago. They wouldn't have been worried about competition a year ago, because we did hear that then. Well, you might annoy JJ because it was a high pick, and the way you're supposed to treat high picks now is you take a quarterback that high. Once the deck is cleared, and it was cleared in this case because we weren't going to re-sign Darnold, then you hand the keys to the new guy. And I can't help musing, as I did earlier, how life might have been different if we had really earnestly suggested to Daniel Jones that he would have every bit as much right to be the starter as J.J. McCarthy. Let's play it out. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe Daniel Jones would see the handwriting on the wall and say, well, you really want J.J. to be the guy, so I'm going to go someplace else. I don't know. But if you believe competition's good now, you should always believe it. And the truth is we didn't last year. We anointed a guy. We had the hubris to think that we were going to make him into a good enough quarterback right from the start. And you can make the argument that we wasted a season as a result of it.
What did KOC make of J.J. McCarthy's comments, was it last week, about sitting on other sides of the classroom, coach's job to prepare us? What did he make of those?
Yeah, those things are always tough for me because I'm in it. I'm around it every day. So another's interpretation of those comments are going to be what they are. I would just say that in the room and the actual day-to-day, the dialogue between those guys, the interactions have been very professional, and even more so than that, it's just been a positive room, and I think Carson has a lot to do with that as the veteran in the room. And obviously, I would never discount Josh McCown's extensive career as a player in those quarterback rooms and how he manages the room and engages with everybody in there. So I didn't make a lot out of it. I know there was some some reaction to it, and that's probably not the first time there's going to be a reaction to those guys kind of, answering questions about the situation, and that's what part of the competition is all about. It's going to be,
Mr. Philosopher
we're not trying to, there's no hiding anything. It's going to be, displayed on the field, and their teammates and coaching staff and the guys in this building have to feel conviction about the direction we go, and you do that by your daily habits and just improving.
Well, that's a better answer than usual. But I think it's said now out of necessity. I think he doesn't have much choice because of the way this thing has been bungled, the way it's played out. You almost have to have some humility and even some understanding that you're not going to be able to control the story the way, not just KOC, all these pro football coaches. Football coaches in general, you're right, want to do it. That's not the case any longer. Although, as I said, I still maintain, I think that deep down he believes that the new guy will have to be really, really, really putrid in training camp to not be the starter. It was interesting the other day on one of my walks, PA. Did you hear the scenario PA threw out?
I don't know.
It was controversial. He basically said, what if, because I'd asked the other day, what if Carson Wentz plays better than JJ?
Right.
He upped me. He said, what if Carson Wentz plays better than anybody else at the position?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Now, my answer that I wanted to yell at him through the radio, that's kind of hard to do, was...
Could have sent a talk back.
I could have sent a talk back.
Yeah.
My assumption is Wentz won't get the reps. That to that extent, the competition will be fixed a little bit because there's only so many reps you get anymore. You can barely practice anymore in training camp. So is he even going to have the chance to present that way? I don't think that's very likely to happen regardless because I just think Wentz at this point, Wentz was out of the league, wasn't he? And we got him back in?
I'm pretty sure we signed Carson Wentz back just out of guilt for almost having his arm amputated overseas.
That might be right. But when we got him last year at right before the season, at State Fairs, when the story broke.
He was hanging out on his couch.
He was just kind of hanging out on the couch, wasn't he?
Yes.
So
that's as the story went.
I don't
know.
We'll see.
So there's KOC on the QBs.
Good.
More mandatory mini camps and OTAs and all these things coming up in the next few weeks. Jalen Brunson, 13 points in the fourth quarter. He finished with 30. Karl Anthony Towns, 18 points, 12 rebounds, including a couple of big offensive rebounds and putbacks in the third quarter as the Knicks got themselves back into the game, and then Brunson took over in the fourth. New York goes into San Antonio Davies, steals game one of the NBA Finals, 105-95. Victor Wembanyama, just 6 of 21 from the floor, 26 points, 12 boards. The numbers when Cat was guarding him, not very good. I want to say like 1 for 8. You may have them in front of you.
No, I don't, but it's in that range. Yeah.
But that's the other cruel irony of trading Cat. Everybody's trying to figure out how you're going to deal with Wemby for the next decade. Well, Karl just dealt with him. He didn't deal with him the whole game, but he dealt with him a lot, and we traded him. But that's all good. 1-0. Game 2 tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was, look, Brunson is a terrific finisher. I don't think anybody has ever suggested that at the end of games he shouldn't have the ball in his hands a lot. He's good at it. The issue was making the Knicks more whole as a team. And they've done that offensively by, through other parts of the game, running much of the offense through Cat, as we talked about several times in the recent weeks, and with Sam Mitchell earlier in the show. And in the third quarter, when it looked like the Spurs were about to blow it open, Cat got him back in the game. So if Brunson doesn't do what he does at the finish, the Knicks don't win. But if Cat doesn't do what he did in the third quarter, there's no chance for Brunson to have even the opportunity to take over the game down the stretch with that masterful footwork that he uses. I just repeated myself. It is technically brilliant what he is able to do despite his size, right? Making space, creating angles, and taking contact. He might be short by NBA standards.
Yeah.
But he ain't weak.
No.
I think Wemby's weaker. And he's a foot taller.
Yeah.
So, and they got contributions from other people, too. And it's part of this, too, is what we talked about. We didn't have time to get into this with Sam. Somebody who tweeted this. Can we just let Wemby play his way into being the best ever? Can we just let the process play out? And it might take a minute. Because we've seen, have we not, some vulnerability in his game, right? Not surprising given his still relative lack of experience and his age. I'm not here to rip him, but I'm saying we can always do these projections about he's already the greatest player ever, and he already does this better than anybody else ever, and none of that's even close to being true. And it's because of that hurry, I guess, we have that we constantly want to get into the anointing business. And he was very ordinary. He was good from the free throw line, where he got most of his points. But what was he for the game? Was it 6 for
21?
21. Mm-hmm. That ain't going to get it done. And the Knicks Cat did a really good job on him defensively too.
Game 2, like I said, tomorrow night, 7:30 tip. Game 2, NHL Stanley Cup Finals tonight, 7 o'clock puck drop. You'll hear it right here on the Fan. The Vegas Golden Knights leading the Carolina Hurricanes 1-0 in that series. And tonight at 6:40 at Target Field, your Minnesota Twins host the Kansas City Royals. Seth Lugo pitching for the Royals. Andrew Morris for the Twins. Andrew Morris, so nondescript, he does not even have a headshot on ESPN.com. I'm looking at a gray silhouette right now. That's your starting pitcher tonight at Target Field.
That says a lot. Do we have a new National Hockey League center who just might be available for your favorite professional hockey team?
I saw there's a big name that
we'll get to that.
Wants to get out.
We'll get to a bit of cat sound. We'll get to the Clark story. And a little follow-up on Simeon Woods Richardson. In the meantime,
the Fan has your chance to win $2,500. Just enter the keyword America at KFAN.com. Part of our $250,000 cash contest this week. $2,500 available now. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword America.
This is Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on the Fan.
So it was July, trade deadline 2021, right? We traded away your guy Barrios to the Toronto Blue Jays for 2 top prospects. I'm looking at a story. This was the MLB.com story that day. The Blue Jays have officially made their big splash, acquiring right-hander Jose Barrios from the Twins in exchange for number 2 prospect Austin Martin and number 4 prospect Simeon Woods Richardson. So he comes full circle, right? Now Simeon goes back to Toronto, correct?
Yes.
Interesting. What's the moral of the story? Prospects always sound good because at the front end you only think of their promise, and they haven't been around long enough to see many of their warts. And by the way, sometimes they pan out great. But a lot of times they don't end up coming close to how inviting they appeared when they were just prospects with perfect records and no flaws that they had yet revealed.
Was it Jack Morris that always used to say they're prospects for a few years, and if you haven't heard from them then they're suspects? He used to say that a lot.
That's true. He said that a lot.
We used to have them on Tuesdays.
Is it possible Dylan Larkin is in the Minnesota Wild's future? I'm just asking.
You're not alone.
Because he has apparently requested a trade, and he's got a no-trade clause, but of course that obviously can be waived. But this also gives him perhaps a little bit more control on where he ends up. One of the reporters who've been on this have said that there is belief, is there not, that the Wild would be on Larkin's yes list.
Why wouldn't they be?
If it came to that. He's been Detroit's captain since 2021. He was on the team he's the only current Red Wing who was on the team for its last playoff appearance in, you want to take a guess? How long it's been since Detroit's been in the playoffs?
Oh, man, I would have no idea.
2016.
Okay, I was going to say.
That's a long time.
7 years.
We're familiar with that kind of stuff.
We are. It's longer than I even thought.
643 points in 808 games. And apparently there's a little bit of tension between the general manager and Larkin. This was going back like last year. This was at the 2025 trade deadline that he was bitter about the lack of moves. So just keep that name in mind. Full no trade clause. But that would give him, as we said, some control over the deal. They note that while Larkin has had much team success in Detroit, he is coming off the biggest win of his career in the Olympics. Larkin was on the ice for the winning goal scored by Jack Hughes in the U.S.'s 2-1 overtime victory against Canada in the gold medal game. So I'll leave that to the hockey community to either salivate over or to say not that big a deal. But I think it would have to be a name that would, open some eyes.
Eric Johnson, the wonderkind player for a time, just wrapped up his career. Now he's a great broadcaster that everybody loves. One of us, Local Angle. That was his first tweet. Basically, Minnesota Wild, come on down. He's already placing him in the state of hockey.
Done deal.
That's what he's saying.
Is that before or after we get who else are we supposed to get, though? 2 weeks ago, we were told we were going to get maybe the best player in hockey.
Yeah, McDavid.
Yeah, Connor McDavid.
Austin Matthews
is
in there.
Room for everybody?
Well, they're going to have to take some pay cuts.
Brunson-like, huh?
Yeah, they're going to have to be like Jalen Brunson. But do you want to win or not?
You have to. That's what I guess you have to decide. That's very, very true, Davey. 100% right. All right, let's get to the what else? Well, let's save the cat sound for a minute. Maybe we go to 42, and then we can go the rest of the way to for the inbox, which will be coming up a little bit later. So I don't know. I mean, you can make the argument this is an inside baseball story that's more a media story than a story that most fans would care about. I'll leave that to each and every one of you to determine on that. But I think it's worthy of our time because I am connecting it to a larger issue, which we've discussed on this program before. And as the story goes, the Indiana Fever were unhappy with some reporting done by an independent reporter named Scott Agnes, Agnes. And he's covered the Fever for a while. He's covered the Pacers, too. More on that relationship in a minute. But the story broke just within the last couple of days that the Fever revoked his credential. And Agnes has reported that the Fever notified him via email on the 21st of May that he would be barred from accessing team events because of a social media report they claim spread inaccurate and unsubstantiated information regarding Caitlin Clark's health status for the season. This story was in The Athletic, and they note that he used to work for The Athletic before launching his own Substack in 2020. His Pacer credential was revoked in 2024, allegedly because of parking issues. I don't know if that's true. We'll get back to that part.
I could lose a credential over being mad about a parking spot.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Easily?
That's like the one thing that drives me crazy, but I digress.
Well, the report, the media report from this reporter was on May 20. Clark was ruled out about 100 minutes before the Fever played the Portland Fire. And according to a post from Agnes on X, Clark's availability was part of a strategic management plan for the season. He tweeted, Fever guard Caitlin Clark will not play tonight versus the Fire. I'm told it's part of a strategic management plan for the season. Tonight is the Fever's fourth game in 8 days. So he sends the tweet out. He says he's in the middle of working on a story. He gets a text from PR that says, hey, where are you? Can we talk? He meets with Fever Media Relations in the hallway. She shows me her phone and said, what is this? This is false. Agnes said he listened patiently before telling Fever Media Relations staff that he had a trusted, reliable source and stood by his reporting. The coach of the team, Stephanie White, negated, or I should say denied, Agnes's report during her pregame presser on the 20th of May, that same day. There is no managing. She's healthy. We're not managing anything. This is just a back issue that we want to make sure we give the time to be ready, which to me then gets into the semantics of, well, that sounds like you're managing a little bit. I don't even think that should be illegal. But part of the issue was, I think the Pacers were in the meat grinder with the league about the lack of reporting the injury in the first place. And, here's the background on that. The Fever had failed to list her on the team's injury report despite her missing practice the day before their game against the Fire. The Fever also did not update the injury report at any point Wednesday, even though Clark woke up with what White described as some stiffness and some soreness. The Fever were later given a warning by the WNBA for violating injury report protocol. So the background there is important because it might indicate some sensitivity on the part of the organization because they feel like, well, we don't want to get in double secret probation with the league, right? I don't know how you legislate, the accuracy of what he said or did not say. The question is the absurdity of revoking, whatever the disagreement is, revoking the credential for it. That's the part that, to me, makes absolutely no sense, but it almost it's unfortunately kind of fits a pattern which we've talked about regarding this league. You go back to when the Players Association, the Players Union, was demanding that Christine Brennan's credential be taken away when she asked, who was the player she asked about whether she inadvertently or purposely hit Caitlin Clark in the eye. I can't remember the name of the player. And the union lost its mind. I'm not here to say that there are no, that you can't have disagreements, brouhahas, rhubarbs involving unions, teams, and reporters. That's as old as day, right? It's endless. But in most sports, it's just expected. It's part of the deal. And
it was our gal, Dejanay Carrington, who poked her in the eye.
That's right, it was Carrington.
And then DeWanna Bonner was the one who was bitter about it.
That's it. So the concern is, who are we protecting here? If you want to attain the big-time status that we're told over and over again, I think that the league is heading towards and wants to, then you don't get to control the copy the way, and even reporters, the way it seems there's more of a propensity to do. I guess what I'm saying is these sorts of objections would not even be registered. Now, there might be disagreements about, whether that question was inbounds or out of bounds when it comes to the NBA, for example. But we're so far past we're going to revoke your credential, or we're going to threaten, we think your credential should be taken away because you might have asked a politically incorrect question. And so that's what concerns me again about this story. And it's funny because on I think this was from The Athletic, it may have been a different story. One of the comments in the comments section, this was one of the comments kind of sort of responding to the, I guess you could say the controversy and the battle. I think Scott abused his privileges when he's on the Pacers Fever's physical premises, and he's causing financial and mental stress for the kid trying to recover rest from a sore back. Now, again, this is just some rube, but I think part of the reason somebody feels emboldened to observe that with a straight face, to actually take the time to type that in the comments section, is sometimes the league almost seems to encourage that climate. So I'm not totally surprised that you'd have people going, well, this might cause some stress financially and or mentally on the player who's trying to recover from the injury. And you're going, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a league that is what you say you want, treated the same, covered in that sense the same? Or do you still view yourself as more of a cause that is in a different classification? Because if you do that, you're actually asking. I've said it before. I think there's something patronizing about we have these players need to be protected some way, in a way that we do not. No one demands that male players are protected. So, is there more to the story? Was it easier for the Fever to do what it did because he'd apparently already been lopped off he'd already been taken out of the Pacers' will?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And was that merely because of a parking issue, or is it more? Is there something more significant there going on? That's worth pursuing, and I don't know if anybody else has explored it. I haven't seen much in this lately, but it just, again, falls in the classification of what do you want? I mean, what do you want to be? Because if you want big time, there's going to be these sorts of clashes that take place. There are these sorts of questions, some of which you might not like, that might be asked. There's going to be reporting on injuries that you might not like. It happens, I don't know, 35 times a day in the NBA, minimum, if not more. And there may be arguing about the accuracy of that coverage, but then everybody yawns and they move on with the rest of their life and just say, well, this is part of the deal, right?
Yeah,
it's bizarre to me.
We were talking about oral histories earlier about the Vikings quarterback situation from a year ago.
Yeah.
I would love it on this situation and how the Fever got to this conclusion. Because I'm trying to think about it in my head. Is it Stephanie White going to PR person and going, get them out of here? We don't need this. And then PR person stuck because it's the head coach. It used to be back in the day, the PR person was able to have more of a backbone, right? As you know.
It's so true.
That's changed a lot.
A bunch.
Where you would have an institutional PR person that's been here for 62 years, where the coaches didn't have as much power and the players didn't have as much power. And power is not even the right word, but they didn't have the ability to just say, oh, no, we want this person out and that person out. So the PR person stuck. So whoever it is that makes the call that says we need to remove them, or what are you going to do about this? PR person's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They probably don't want to do it. But then you can't make this move, I don't think. I'm curious what you think, without someone even above the head coach knowing about it, right?
And maybe somebody does. I don't know.
But that's my point. Yes. Is someone in that organization, somewhere along the line, has to go, we can't do that.
No.
Guys, we're not doing that. Yeah, we don't like this guy. Whether this is true or not might be immaterial, but I know we don't like that it's out there. But we as an organization can't just kick him out. There has to be somebody along the line. I don't know if it's a vice president, a team president, the owner.
An adult who steps in.
An adult, sure, that just says, this isn't what we do. We're not going to do it this way. Because I don't think you can make this move. Because I'm thinking if I'm the president of the team, I'm annoyed.
Yes.
If I didn't know about this. Now, maybe they were part of it. And that's even dumber. But you get what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like, there has to be somebody in the chain of command that says we're not doing this.
But I think organizationally, all through this league, I think this, how do I put it? This philosophy, this bent exists.
I agree.
I think.
That's why I brought it up.
So I don't, well, what I'm saying is, though, that's why it may well be it's all the way up.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had any sign along the food chain of people at higher levels sitting individuals down saying, guys, we got to decide here. We're getting bigger. People are paying more attention to us. That's part of how we got the new deal that we got. And that doesn't mean we have to go belly up and love all coverage or not fire back at things that we think are unfair to us, whatever the case may be. But so I don't think anybody should say we can't argue or defend our position. But if our fallback position is get them out of here, we don't need to put up with this stuff, this isn't what we're about, then you do not want to be treated equally. Because the bigger you get, the harder it's going to be to manage what was very easy to manage when it was the sort of little, relatively modest fiefdom. And again, the irony is what we were told then was we don't want a little cute fiefdom. We want to be big time. We want the spoils that we think we've earned and deserve. And I don't disagree. I think a lot of people don't. But then if that's the direction it's going to go, you can't, I don't think, overreact the way this organization and others, as I said, the union on that questioning has done. Let's face it, this is still a league where tough questions are rarely asked. They just are. It's just factually true. Uncomfortable questions are less likely to be asked. And the comeback to it is, well, we don't want discomfort here. in what world do you live in? If you're going to be big time, might there not be some discomfort? We're not talking about abuse, obviously, but there's a line, and I don't think at the highest levels of leadership in this league they get that yet, for whatever reason. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they did know and they even signed off on it. I guess that's the question. You'd like to think there'd be some people able and willing to do that, but we've seen example after example. Right. Going all the way back to the whole Caitlin Clark treatment last year, I just don't think there's the kind of leadership. I think that the leaders are either they know it and they're afraid to do anything about it, or they don't even think anything needs to be done. And it's just going to lead, I think, to, I don't know, it's more likely to lead to more and more questions.
And that's why I brought it up essentially rhetorically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see, yeah.
Because I think we kind of know the answer.
Yeah, right.
That those, because there are different checks and balances throughout an organization when you make a decision like this, and anything, in college and pros, it's...
You don't get to tell, if it's independent journalism, you don't get to tell who gets to cover and who doesn't if they are accredited or had been and have been doing their job. Now, again, there are lines that cannot be crossed, but I haven't seen any signs of it here. And this, to me, again, is even semantical about what we're doing, whether you're managing or not. I would say it doesn't, as a controversy, rise to that level where if I'm really going to go down this road and feel like it's worth going down this road, I'm going on this?
Right.
Seriously? Right. But maybe again, the team, if the team is sensitive because it already got in trouble with the league, that's for them to deal with. That's not a good enough reason to throw out a reporter. In fact, to a certain extent, I think it makes the organization look smaller and more defensive, almost that maybe he struck a chord. Maybe there was some truth to what he had to say. But how many times have we talked about professional athletes and players in this town and the managing of injuries and whether they're hurt, how hurt are they, when can they come back, communication on those injuries.
Right.
How often have we done it?
A lot.
It's inevitable if you're a sport that wants to be paid attention to, which is what we've been told over and over again the WNBA aspires to. But if that's true, then you have to be prepared to accept what comes with it. And I still don't think that understanding, sadly, exists.
Holly Rowe can't ask every question.
No.
She just can't.
That's true.
She fills her role. She's great.
Yeah.
She loves it. They can't all be like that. Yeah. That's just not how it works.
And I still feel for Brennan because, again, she was asking questions that weren't even, I don't even think that controversial in a lot of cases. And but it stood out more there in part. Why? Because there's a reluctance to do it. There's this feeling of we got this vibe. We got a bubble. And I'm saying, well, you can stay in your bubble and people will probably leave you alone, but then you're not going to get to where you aspire to go, allegedly, because outside the bubble, there's going to be, as more people get interested, more. And by the way, unfair questions in some cases.
Yeah.
That's just, I think that all kind of, unfortunately, I think we understand comes with the territory if you want that bigness that allegedly we are looking for.
I'd forgotten about the Brennan deal. I mean, they literally, with a straight face, wrote a letter.
Yeah, it was in writing.
About we feel like you should not have her credential. Christine Brennan. That's remarkable.
Yeah, and it does matter in this case who it is, like you say. It's as you're emphasizing.
Yes.
It's a person who's covered men's and women's sports forever, but if you want to turn it into, are you a friend of women's sports? The answer is yes, unequivocally.
Yes.
But she said it with us. You're asking me to pull punches. What's more patronizing than that? What's more sexist than that? On the basis of for what reason? Who am I supposed to protect here? Is that what we're really in this for? So, again, we'll follow the story. Maybe we'll find somebody else who said, well, there's several other tentacles to this reporter. Because so far it's just the reporter who's speaking. And so maybe at some point the Fever will, somebody in a position of authority, somebody in the league. I don't know. I just think they should be so far past this nonsense at this point. I really do. Let's do the inbox when we come back. We do have some Carl Anthony Towns sound we'll play maybe later in the broadcast. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 64686. The emphasis should be, when it comes to pretty much any of these stories, including the links, you'd like it to be, obviously, about the players, right? You'd like it to be about developments, how teams are playing, and that should always be where the coverage is. But it gets sideways. This story gets outsized coverage, I think, because there is that concern that it repeats a pattern that is about more than any one of these stories. And at some point, you got to get over it. I just don't even think, and I don't even think, like I said, this one's all that controversial. I mean, this isn't even.
I don't think most people would have even known about it. No,
and that's the other argument is the Fever making as big a deal of it as they have has actually elevated this story to a place of attention and prominence that it otherwise would not have indeed received. Back with the inbox in moments.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
Keep listening for the next chance to win your way to our iHeartRadio Music Festival present.
Do you agree with this premise, Gaardsy? Dan, without the dome, we don't have the Gopher football collapses, which then you don't cross Mace through your writing to then make up on the radio later. Dome leads to Mace in your face. Had never thought of it that way.
You can draw a pretty good line there.
Yeah.
I think you can. But that even goes back to, like, Lou Holtz keeping them at the Dome.
That's true. Yeah.
Because just because the Dome was there didn't mean that the University of Minnesota needed to play there. They chose to do that. And then when they had the opt-out time, chose to stay.
Yeah, because I
didn't know till like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, Holtz presented it as unlike Mace. We want to be there.
Yes.
We feel that's big time.
It's where the pros play.
Exactly. And
then he left.
Yeah. Where did he end up? Notre Dame?
I think he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's Notre Dame.
I think he went to Notre Dame.
Worked out pretty well for him there.
Mace loved the Dome.
Oh, there's nobody who despises the Dome. But does he despise the Dome because of the conditions or because he associates it with all those collapses?
Well, I think he would associate he would blame the collapses on the conditions. Don't you think?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
I could have gotten a better player if I.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
the quarterback.
I might have had a real defense.
Yeah,
to go with my offense if I had a better place to recruit to.
If I didn't have to sidestep a monster truck rally in December when we were trying to recruit here. That's his favorite line.
Why not?
That he couldn't get into the Dome.
It is
because
best,
there was a monster truck rally, or he had to say, "Imagine playing football here while
they're piling up the dirt."
Gravediggers doing wheelies,
That's true.
doing jumps. Should we do some inbox?
Might as well start. Yeah.
It's time for Dr. Dan's inbox.
I like this one to start.
Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, apologies for the late email. I trust Jay Gard won't share this, but people have been speculating your interview with Pete Kessler was too controversial to put online. The truth is we have just been so busy with other things we forgot to prioritize, or we had to prioritize. For instance, did you know the morning show isn't going to London this year, so we've decided to send them to El Vegas 6 times. The truth is we also have to budget our time, and after loading up all the podcasts of the P trip, we just didn't get to it. The podcast for your show is now up. Please tell Pete Kessler it's not personal. This is from C. Abbott. Did you get the tweets and emails like I did?
Yeah, I got a bunch.
I blew the podcast last night.
I guess that it's a little bit annoying, but it's encouraging that people care enough. They're going, wait a minute, where's the PCast?
Yes, and I have to do a full pelf.
Well, what happened? You just forgot, or you got?
No, because when I got them last night, I'm like, I did the podcast. It was gleaming. It was. I do. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing every night. It's not like a sequence that I forgot. But there's one thing I did wrong.
Oh.
I didn't toggle it correctly. Because sometimes when
bad toggle.
It was a bad toggle that I didn't think was always necessary, because when I do a tag for Barrero, it just kind of autofills. This is way more than anybody needs. But I didn't toggle correctly. So some long expired Chris Hockey podcast had your podcast on it.
Oh, that's funny.
So I figured it out today when I got here. And now they're back up.
Would you call it a glitch?
It was user error. It was all me. I have to full pelf. That's why I read this because we got an email about it.
I did. I was still getting some earlier today. I mean, at the start of the show. But they are up now, you're saying?
They're up.
Okay.
Even Gleeman texted me and said, I hate to be the listener, but I like to tweet out my appearances.
Well, Gleeman is, he and Knocker do that more than any two of our regular guests.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is wonderful.
We should do that more.
How can we get mad about that? Yeah, for sure.
So I had to pelf to Gleeman. And we're all good now. But thank you, everybody, and apologies for the error. I am triple checking tonight before I leave.
By the way, have we ever had...
Inbox.
Has JJ been on the cover of Madden NFL? As in, not McCarthy, obviously, Justin Jefferson.
I don't know.
Has a Viking ever been on the cover? Because I'm looking at Caleb Williams being interviewed live right now via Sports Center because he's the cover athlete for Madden NFL 27.
He has not been. I'm wondering if Adrian Peterson was once.
Good question, yeah. AP.
I'm going to quickly Google that.
I mean, it would be better for the bit if we've never had one. Never had a cover athlete for Madden. Wouldn't it?
Adrian was on the cover of Madden in 2013, which makes sense.
Okay.
I think he had won the MVP the year before.
So he might be the only one, I'm guessing. Ain't nobody else, right?
No, Randy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they had it.
Well, they didn't have Madden then, did they?
They had it. I don't know if the cover was that big.
Wasn't as big a deal, yeah.
Now it's everything.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Dear Dr. Dan, I hear there's a two-person quarterback competition for the Vikings starting QB. I beg to differ. There's not a 2 QB race. While I'm rarely mentioned in the discussion, I'll remind you of other ways I'm not mentioned. I am not mentioned as having problems with the playbook or learning the KOC offense. I am not mentioned as having problems or throwing a fit around having to compete for the position. I am not mentioned as being a small QB who can't see over the offensive line or as someone who has not shown comfort being under center. When people do stop and remember that I am here and competing for the job, I am mentioned as a tough SOB who had my non-throwing arm reattached last year after the Rams and the porous offensive line helped me find the turf several times. I am mentioned as the QB who was the #1 draft pick, who has had the most recent success on the field of the three, and as the one who KOC was most comfortable having out on the field last year. I don't mind the competition, and no one has to worry about mentioning me until opening day when I start against the Green Bay Packers. That from C. Wentz.
Are you sure PA didn't write that one? We just talked about that earlier.
You're
his
right.
Scenario. Well, yeah, it was brutal. Which game was that? Was it the Rams?
Rams, yeah.
Where it did look like they were going to have to reattach his non-throwing arm, remember?
Of course. I couldn't believe it.
It was remarkable. For a player's coach, it all seemed a little bit strange.
I heard from well, I shouldn't even say this.
Don't say
Let's just say there were people in the medical community shocked.
Oh, yeah.
He was allowed to go back out there.
Yeah. Here's Dr. Dan's question. Where does C. Wentz sit in the meeting room? Because we found out it's on one side of the classroom, it's 9. The other side of the classroom, it's Kyler. So where do C. Wentz and your guys sit in that classroom?
Well, I think they're probably in between both of them.
You think they have to be in between by definition?
To be in the middle.
Yeah, I guess they have to be.
Yeah, if JJ's got one side and Kyler's way on the other, Max needs to be front and center because he has to soak everything up. He can't be in the back with a hoodie on. He's got to be the most eager. Wentz probably has to be close.
Is Aaron Donald really coming out of retirement?
I got betting odds on that today. Somebody sent them to me, like the Bovada people. They're wondering because who'd they just get? They just got Myles Garrett, right?
They just said they're loading up because the Super Bowl's back in L.A. again.
Oh, that's right.
That's where they won it last time, I think.
Yes.
And I mean, you want to talk about the rich getting rich? I don't know what he's got left at this point, but it may not matter. I mean, you want to talk about putting the band back together? We're not in that league. I'm sorry. I wish we were, but we're not. But go ahead.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
It's time
before break.
for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Somebody thinks Dante Culpa. One guy is bitter. Come on, guys. Dante was on the cover. I apologize for not remembering that. I'm not a big Madden guy.
2005 Madden cover, we apologize that may have left our brain 21 years later.
Come on, guys.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dear
You're not
Dr.
supposed to be
Dan.
the sports leader, but go ahead.
Dear Dr. Dan, this isn't Video Games Weekly, Tuesday nights on the Fan, all right? Paul Charchi is not here. He's in Utah.
Yeah, that's true.
Dear Dr. Dan, how do you like my three-piece suits now? Boy, it feels nice to get out on top, throw my feet up on the barca after a decorated coaching career. I'll put those suits back to work come March on CBS and TNT if I want. It's funny nowadays because when I leave my villa, everyone says, Nova way in hell did all these guys play on the same college team. Let me break it down for you the way Mark Wilk would. It would be kind of like a triangle of authority, but not really. And I definitely made the final call on a talented roster. Let's see. Brunson, check. Bridges, check. Hart, check. It's no Childress, Briz, Spielman, but also a little bit more productive, respectfully. With a supporting cast of motivated big feline and a player from your alma mater whose name you can't pronounce, this Knickerbocker squad looks destined for greatness like the good old days. If you're looking for a great player, go to France. If you're looking for a champion, look no further than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Bridges' defense is tight. Hart brings the fight. Brunson's money ain't right. All coached by Jay Wright. Nixon 5. This from Jay Wright.
That's very well done, Jay. Well, you're one of your favorites.
He is my favorite.
He might still be your favorite.
I saw him in San Antonio Davie 2 years ago, and it was literally like one-on-one walking. I'm like, oh, my God, oh, my God.
Did you collide with him?
No, but I could have, and I should have. Yeah. But it's like, oh, my God, do I say something? There was nobody else around.
That was it.
And I just sarwanged by him.
He did the lamppost quote, right? Isn't that his quote?
Yes, according to Jay Hart.
Yeah. Regarding analytics.
Brunson's money ain't right.
That's pretty good.
All coached by Jay Wright.
That's pretty good.
Nix in 5.
That's very well done, and he might very well be right. Let's make this a top of the hour pause. Maybe a couple more items for the inbox and a couple of other nuggets before we wrap things up at 6:30.
Bumper to bumper with...
Dr. Dan's inbox. You still got a bit more to go?
It's time for Dr. Dan's inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Bonjour, Dr. Dan. I understand I may not be the most offensively gifted player in the league, but defense pays the bills, and I would say my resume speaks for itself. That said, if the people of Minnesota really want me gone, I'll happily request that my 7'9" wingspan be traded to S. Antonio Davie so I can team up with my good friend V. Wembanyama and his 8-foot wingspan. Then you can spend the next decade explaining to your guards why the paint looks like a no-fly zone. Good luck getting past the Western Conference Finals, then wee. This from R. Gobert.
Well, if you're wondering why R. Gobert, that's fairly timely on the basis of him coming up again early in today's show, and then with S. Mitchell as well. And for the R. Gobert haters, I don't know how. I mean, it might have been a tough process for them because S. Mitchell certainly does not share the utter disregard and disdain for R. Gobert. From a number of fans who, my guess is they're not really, I think you're more likely to be a casual fan. You get around the water cooler and you hear people complain about Rudy's offense, and then you go, well, that's going to be the cool thing to say, and you kind of go with it, and you leave out so much about what he has represented and really how much the team defensively has changed, not because Anthony Edwards got more mature, not because Naz Reid grew up a little bit, not because a number of players got, just over a period of time, a little bit better what they were doing, but because he literally transformed the defense into something significant. Now, Dr. Dan has said a couple times this week, I'm not opposed to exploring trading anybody on this team, probably with the exception of A. Edwards. And so I put R. Gobert in that classification. Because sooner or later, he will get too old. Sooner or later, you may say, well, we need to we like the young guy we have at center. We think we need to start the clock on him a little bit more. That's all. I'm open-minded to that. The dilemma would be if you're able, as we talked about with Sam, and he loved this idea of getting K. Irving from Dallas.
Yeah.
Once you make that move, I really think you cannot trade our Gobert for future considerations, right?
Correct.
Because to me, then, you're sending conflicting messages. If you don't get K. Irving and you go, you know what, we are going to need a gap year. We are really going to explore some trades that we think, if we do them right, could set us up for 5 to 10 more years, but make it less likely that in 2026, 27 we can be a factor, right? I think you got to either be all in, or you got to be all in on the idea of a gap year, and we're gonna sit down with A. Edwards. We're gonna explain it to him,
right?
And we're gonna be back here quicker than you know it. But that's the way we want to do it, because there are teams interested in our Gobert, flat out. There's no question about it. Yeah.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan was scrolling X last night looking for another social cause that I could get stuck to when I was barraged with clips of someone running on the court to go take a selfie with V. Wembanyama. I mean,
where are we, America?
If you're going to interrupt a basketball game, at least make sure it's to bring attention to some atrocity in the world. What a waste of a night in jail and getting banned from an arena. This from G, I assume, as in glue, gal.
Yeah, that's very timely and very well played. And
we also got one from C gal. I think that was chain gal. Wasn't there someone else who tried to chain themselves?
Oh, that's right. Try to chain. Was it to the basket support?
Yes.
Can't remember.
I wanted to acknowledge that one as well.
Well, they're both quite good, and it was where I was going to finish the show, because here's the part Dr. Dan doesn't get. I saw at least one New York tabloid has had a field day with the story. They're including video. They're including video and still shots of the selfie that said idiot took next to V. Wembanyama. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute now. Why are we giving him this attention? It happened. TV cameras couldn't do much about it because it was right on the court, and they replayed it, I think, legitimately because the refs were trying to figure out what we do with the play, right? Because the ball's in play, and there had been a steal, I believe, by a Knick.
That's what they were trying to figure out.
That's what they're trying to figure out, so you have to play it. But why do you want to fan the flames of this kind of idiocy by actually, reporting on him using photos? And I get it. You're looking for clicks. That's what the tabloids look for. But don't you think that's a bad look? I just don't like it. And, Sam, S. Mitchell brought this up it's not, it's kind of fun. I don't think you can ever look at it that way, because he said, well, as long as somebody's not trying to do harm. But that's the unknown. And that's why you don't want to nurture it or smile about it or smirk about it or encourage it, because it's only going to take one guy to go sell us on the bit, and takes out a knife and slashes a player. So I'd like to think that cooler heads would prevail, and you'd say, yeah, all right, we'll report on it because it happened, but we're not going to show video and pictures of this clown. That's exactly what he's looking for here. That part of it did not make a lot of sense to me.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Quick one in transition. Dear Dr. Dan, how many Big Ten championships would I have won with a new stadium? That from G. Mason. Dear Dr. Dan, we're glad the City and Twins listen to you as well. Our pay station arms going up and down, up and down. Well, maybe not that much based on attendance numbers. We're just getting worn out, and having to replace them all the time was frustrating. Their BMI was close to Kay O'Connell's from the constant workouts, and we know how much you love good BMIs. This from P Ramps A, B, and C. P Ramps A, B, and C.
What's your favorite ramp?
It used to be B, now it's A.
Now it's C with me.
You like extra steps?
It is extra steps, which is a pain, but I do think it's a quicker getaway.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think
even factoring in the extra time to get there.
Yes, you sort of have to do that. Way too much parking ramp talk today, although it is the Abyss.
It's the Abyss.
So that might have something to do with
Every
it.
3-year-old knows.
Yeah, that's...
All right, last one.
Yes.
It's time for Dr.
this
Dan's
one.
Inbox.
I like them all. Another great effort by the Rubes.
We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, don't you remember? I know all the footage you're seeing of me now doesn't look like much. But almost 200 years ago, it was a different story. Historical figures, W. Travis, D. Crockett, all willing to defend me over a 13-day siege against the Mexican army. But hey, I get it. If you want to put me in the same class as an old bridge, a spoon with a cherry on it, or maybe a picture of a bucket of cookies, it is what it is. By the way, your Minnesota State Fair is only a 12-day siege this year. This from T. Alamo.
Now, that is really brilliantly written. Look, we had some fun with the whole Alamo thing. But Dr. Dan has noted this many times over the years on this show. Little Danny Barrero was so captivated by a, I think, 1960 motion picture called The Alamo that he all but forced various family members, sometimes his parents, sometimes his grandparents, to take him to the theater. Probably would have been Gary, Indiana, probably would have been the Palace Theater. It could have been the State. To see The Alamo, starring, among others, Richard Widmark was in it. Who played Davy Crockett? It was, oh, God, the name will come to me in a minute. Huge, John Wayne. I saw that film in the theater. Little Danny Barrero was so captivated by the 13-day siege of the Alamo that he went to see the film 5 times. Now, I would have been 5 or 6 years old then if the movie came out in 1960.
1960.
And in all honesty, as much as we had fun about the Alamo backdrop, I could not take my eye. In fact,
I might have to watch this.
how ridiculous is this? A 5-year-old is demanding also or begging his parents to buy a soundtrack album by 101 Strings of a lot of movies. And the main movie, the only reason I wanted it was the theme from the Alamo was among those songs that were being displayed on that particular album. So
John Wayne, Richard Widmark,
yeah.
Lawrence Harvey, Frankie Avalon, Patrick Wayne, Linda Crystal.
Now, Dr. Dan's not foolish. It's not a cinematic achievement of a film. It's a big action movie with some big names at the time and pretty good special effects for its time. I'm not saying it's Casablanca. I'm not saying it's Citizen Kane. But I was all in all the time. My favorite fort I got by mail was of the Alamo. Setting up the soldiers. Davy Crockett had the rifle out in a way where he was using it because he was out of ammunition. Basically, it's a blunt instrument before he got stabbed in the stomach. No, I'm an Alamo guy from way, way, way back, despite our conversation about the fact that apparently it's the only backdrop you can have, a TV backdrop, when you're in San Antonio, Davey.
The Alamo was your guy before it was ESPN's guy.
Like I said, it's astonishing how much I like. And every time I knew how it was going to end, right? Every time, and I blubbered at the end of that movie every single time. You want to talk about somebody who hated General Santa Anna? I couldn't stand the sight of him. Anyway, you were saying, is that it?
That's it.
That's pretty good. That's a great letter. That's outstanding.
It was unbelievable.
Very well played. Thank you for the great contributions from the Rubes. Again, we'll come back and wrap up the show in just a minute.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the Bumper Show Wrap.
Well, I trust Gaardsy will have the podcast up and running, back on schedule. Yesterday's podcast, he says, is now available. Today's will be available after the show. And if you missed our conversation with Sam Mitchell and you are a Sam Mitchell fan, run to your podcast service and run to your favorite I guess, phone, radio, however you listen to these things, because he was at his finest today. Great analysis on the NBA Finals. Some interesting observations regarding the present and future of the Vikings. No, Vikings didn't come up. Timberwolves. And a lot on the Rudy Gobert subject. Not to mention a great anecdote about the drafting by flip of Karl Anthony Towns.
That was an interesting story.
Which was fascinating to me. I think he may have told us that once before, but never in as much drama or detail. So, in any case, it will all be there for you. Otherwise, it was kind of a Talker Tuesday on a Thursday. We talked some Vikings early about the head coach now fully embracing the quarterback competition. Bring it on. It's going to all be part of the deal. And I wistfully asked, couldn't we have had that same philosophy a year ago? Maybe we would have avoided the disaster the quarterback position was for the Vikings in 2025. We talked some WNBA. Tomorrow, I promise we will talk some Lynx. We'll get back into that conversation in a little bit more depth. I got a couple things up my sleeve. That's not a bad idea, too.
Got to look for a break in the schedule.
That's a great idea. And thank you to the Rubes. You're part of the podcast today. Great letters that Gaardsy passed along starting about 5:45 or so. Tomorrow is the Friday Football Beast, which means Gessling tomorrow, Lavelle tomorrow. And I think that's it for now, correct?
For now, yeah.
For now, that's all we got. That could always change. 651 guy wants to know if my hatred for General Santa Anna was where I started running for my Hispanic heritage. Maybe that's what it was. I wasn't even aware of it.
Could have been.
At the time. That might have been a precursor for it. That's true. That's an outstanding, it's a very, very good point. I bet I watched the Disney version, this is from Clayton in Rochester, of Davy Crockett from the 50s 100 times as a kid. I'm right there with you. I'm not familiar with that.
I feel like I watched that.
Is that right?
Yeah. I feel like we might have watched it in school.
Interesting.
It's a long time ago now.
It is a very long time ago. There's no question about that. I've even read a couple books on the Alamo. It was a little, I debated whether I wanted to read it because this book was more historically accurate than the film. The film, they might have embellished a few things along the way. But
the Alamo needed some Hollywood.
Man, the Alamo. Maybe I'll even get it for tomorrow. The Alamo, the great Alamo speech towards the end of that film is goosebumps. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I'm running the Spurs, I might maybe I save it for when we're facing elimination. But it's a speech that they should consider. I think it was from Sam Houston, talking about saluting all the extra time the Texicans got because they held out at the Alamo for 13 days. That was another reason I was blubbering at the end of that film. It was brilliant, and it's inspirational.
Well, it's sad that we do think the same way. I was going to